Good morning, students. My name is Naresh. Today we will start the new chapter. The chapter name is Newton's Law of Motion. So chapter 5. And the name of the chapter is Laws of Motion. In this topic, we will discuss Newton's Law of Motion. Mainly, we will discuss the Newton's Law of Motion. Here, by this end of this chapter, we will learn the three Newton's laws of motion. The Newton's laws of motion and concept of inertia and mass and concept of force and types of frictions and its application. And the motion of a car on a level road and motion of a car on a level road and on a bankwood road. So motion of a car on a level road and bankwood road and problems. Etc. These are all the learning objective of this chapter. So here, before entering into the Newton's laws, we need the concept of force. Then we will discuss the Newton's laws. So here, concept of force. So force is a push or a pull. You can take force is a pull or a push or a pull. Or we can write in this way also. Force is an interaction between two bodies. Force is an interaction between two bodies. Right. So force is a push or pull. and force is a vector quantity. Force is a vector quantity. Suppose take one example. A object is placed on the surface. So initially the object is at rest. Then we will push this object in this direction. So we are pushing this object. Then the object will move in the direction of the pushing. Here push is nothing but force. Now we will write force is in the direction of the push. So we will use the symbol F, because the first letter in force is F, and since it is a vector, then we will write vector notation. So when you are pushing, then the object will move in the direction of the force. Take one more example. Suppose if you are pulling this object by using this wire, so a wire is attached here. Now we are pulling. Then also the body will move. So this is the floor. Then this body will move in this direction, and the force direction is also in the direction of the pulling. So like that here we will apply the forces by means of pulling and pushing. Pulling and pushing. Here pushing means actually, suppose if I am pushing means I will use my hand, then I will push. Pulling means similarly here also, by using my hand I will pull this wire so that the body will move. That means indirectly my hand is the source for the force. That means there must be a source. Here there must be a source needed to provide the force. So in this case some external agency is required. External agency is needed to provide the force. In this example, if I am using my hand, that means my hand becomes the external agency. So like that we will apply the force on the object. Then what refers the force here? Here force refers that one body is exerting the force on the another body. So what is the referring of the force here? One body exerting the force on another body. So here when we are pushing, that means we are exerting the force. So here the force refers that one body is exerting the force on the other body. Next one is Aristotle fallacy. So Aristotle gave the explanation of the motion of the body. So based on the practical observation, he gave the statement that is called the Aristotle law of motion. So the statement is, an external force is required. An external force is required to keep a body in motion. To keep a body in motion. So that is the Aristotle law of motion. So this is called Aristotle law of motion. Next point is, that means a external force is required to move the body. Fine. Then what is the meaning of rest? And what is the meaning of uniform motion? That means Aristotle gave the explanation for the rest, the state of rest of the body. That is the basic nature. The basic nature of a body is of rest. That means all bodies naturally comes into rest. So he did not give the proper reason. That's why it is called Aristotle fallacy. So he explained the motion of the body, but he did not explain the completely, perfectly. That's why it is called Aristotle fallacy. So here there must be some reason. So the reason behind, he did not explain. Aristotle did not explain the reason. The reason behind stopping of the motion of a body. So he did not explain the reason why these bodies are coming into rest. He gave the statement, that is the basic nature of the body is of rest. But we cannot accept this statement because the statement is not giving the full information regarding the state of rest of the body. Then later, one more scientist, his name is Galileo. So Galileo came and then he explained the motion of the body. So that is the Galileo's laws of motion. Here, based on the two experiments, and from those experiments, he gave the conclusion for the law of motion of the bodies. The two experiments are, the first one is two double inclined plane. So this is the double inclined plane. So let me take this first height is h1, the second height is h2, and here this is the double inclined plane, and one object is released from this point, and then the object is falls down and reaches this position, and again it climbs upward direction and reaches towards this end, other end of the this inclined plane, second inclined plane. This is first experiment. So this experiment, the name you can say, this is a double inclined plane, motion of a body on double inclined plane. Double inclined plane. This is the first experiment. The second one is just the motion of the body on a horizontal plane. So this is the horizontal plane, and one object is released here, then it travels in this direction. So this is called the motion of a body on a horizontal plane. Then finally he gave the conclusion from these two experiments, that is, the final height reached by this object is equals to the initial height of the object. That means this height is equal to this height. And the next point is, suppose if there is no friction, that means if we take this plane is a frictionless. Again we will discuss the concept of friction in next class. So if there is no friction, that means on the frictionless plane, that means there is no friction between this object and this plane. Similarly, this object is this plane. Then the object would continue to move. The object would continue to move with a constant velocity. And it travels an infinite distance. So and if there is no friction, the ball travels, that body travels an infinite distance. That means if the plane is frictionless plane, then the object travels with constant velocity, as well as the object can travel an infinite distance forever also. This is what if there is no friction, but in practice, in reality, there is a friction between the object and the plane. So because of friction, what happens? The ball comes into rest. So because of friction, the ball or the body comes into rest. The body comes to rest after moving a finite distance. After moving a finite distance. So that means the reason behind the stopping of the body was given by the Galileo. So why this body is coming into rest? Because finally the body is coming into rest. So we know the reason. The reason is there is a friction force. The reason behind the stopping of the body given by the Galileo, and the reason behind stopping of the body. Stopping of motion of a body. Yes, that is given by the Galileo. That is there is a friction. Or you can say one more force, air resistance. Like that, these forces acts on a body to oppose its motion. So friction, air resistance, and viscous force, like that, these forces acts on a body so that the body comes into rest. So acts on a body to oppose its motion. Suppose if there is no friction, what happens? Then the body can travel an infinite distance. Because of friction, it is coming into rest. So here, finally, Galileo explained the why body coming into rest. The reason is friction. So based on those ideas, based on the Galileo's ideas, finally Newton formulated the 3 laws of motion. Now we are entering into the Newton's law of motion. So that is the first one is Newton's first law of motion. Newton's first law of motion. So based on those ideas, Newton gave the 3 laws. These laws are all completely based on practical observation. So you cannot derive these formulas. These are all based on the practical observation. Right. So let me write the statement of the first law. So the statement of the first law is every body continues to be its state of rest. Every body continues to be its state of rest, or every body continues to be its state of uniform motion. State of uniform motion in a straight line. In a straight line, unless until some external unbalanced force acts on it. Right. So this is the statement of the Newton's first law. See, I am dividing the statement into two parts actually. One is when the body is at rest. Another one is when the body is in uniform motion. Now look at the first statement. Every body continues to be in state of rest unless until some external force acts on it. That is the first point. The second point is every body continues to be in its state of uniform motion in a straight line unless until some external force acts on it. That means, suppose take the first one. Initially this body is at rest, simply at rest. So this is the body. Unless until if you apply some force externally, if you apply some force on this object, then only this body will change its position, otherwise it remains at rest position. Suppose if you apply the force, then only the position of the body changes, otherwise it remains at the same position. That's why every body continues to be its state of rest. Now look at the second statement. If the body is moving in a straight line with constant velocity, see here, uniform motion. Uniform motion means velocity is constant. When the velocity is constant, acceleration is zero. So acceleration is zero means don't think the body is at rest. Body is moving, but its velocity is constant. Velocity is constant means the magnitude of velocity and the direction remains same. That is the meaning of uniform motion. So acceleration is zero. Right. So now what is the statement? Every body continues to be its state of uniform motion. Suppose if the body is already in a uniform motion, so this body is already moving with constant velocity, then it always continues to be in the same state unless if you apply some other forces, some other external forces on this body. Suppose if you want to stop this body, then we will apply some force in opposite direction to the motion of the body so that it will comes into rest position. That means we are applying the force to change the state of the body, because here it is already moving. When it is moving with constant velocity, then the body wants to be in the same state. But if you want to stop this body, you need to apply the force externally. This is also same. Initially the body is at rest. If you want to change the position of the body, if you want to change the state of the body, you need to apply some force, external force. Otherwise it remains at rest. So this is the first law of Newton's law of motion. Newton's first law of motion. Suppose if the net external force acting on the body, here we are saying that this is rest. Rest means, and here acceleration is 0. Here rest means you can say that the net force acting on the body is 0. See, you cannot say that body is at rest and no force is acting on the body. So once if you discuss the weight concept and the normal force concept and the friction force concept in next class, then you can realize that a body cannot be at rest without any net force acting on that body. So that's why the best way to say the rest of the body, the state of rest of body is net force is 0. Net force is 0. Then you can say that the body is at rest. So, or you can say that if the net force is 0, then the acceleration is 0. So the both statements are valid. Now we will discuss one example for this first law. Right. Next concept is inertia. Then we will discuss the example, the real life example that we will face for the Newton first law of motion. So the next concept is inertia. So inertia is the property of a body by which it is unable to change its original state. That means every body has some property, an intrinsic property, which is unable to change its own state. So let me write down the property of the body, the property of a body by which it unable to change its own state. That means the natural tendency of the object to oppose change in their state. So here, suppose the body is at rest. Take one example, the body is at rest. Now what is the property of this body? See here, this is body. Generally in this chapter we will use the terms like body or object. Sometimes instead of body you can use the term object, or some cases we will use particle. So sometimes we use the term body or object or particle in this chapter. Right. So here, suppose the body is at rest initially. Now what is the natural tendency of this object? It always opposes to change its motion, to change its state of rest. So that means inertia means resistance to change its state. Resistance means opposition. Resistance means opposes. So here Take one more example. Suppose if the body is in motion, uniform motion, then if it is in a uniform motion, then also this body don't want to change its state of motion. This body always wants to be in the state of motion. So this body don't want to comes into rest. Here this body don't want comes into motion because initially it is at rest. When the body is at rest, always wants to be at rest, don't want to comes into motion. This body moving, already it is moving, then this body does not want to comes into rest position. It always wants to be into the uniform motion, in the state of uniform motion. Examples for the first law of motion. Suppose a passenger traveling in a bus. So this is bus. Then initially the bus is at rest and the passenger, he is actually standing inside the bus. Now when the bus starts suddenly, if it is starts suddenly, if the bus starts suddenly, why bus is starts suddenly here? A driver is applying the force. So the driver who is sitting in the front seat, he is applying the force on the bus. So the bus starts suddenly. Driver is not applying the force on the passenger. Passenger, he is just standing inside the bus. Driver is applying the force on the bus, so that the bus starts suddenly in this direction, right side. What about passenger? Initially passenger is at rest and driver is not applying the force on the passenger. Then this passenger thrown backward because he wants to be at the same state. So he thrown backward direction. So in daily, so he is thrown backward. So in our daily life experience, we can observe this type of experiences. Next, same bus. Now passenger is inside the bus and he is standing inside the bus and the bus is moving with constant velocity. He is moving with constant velocity in one direction. If the bus is moving, then passenger is also moving with constant velocity. Now what happens? Driver suddenly applies the force on the brake. So driver suddenly applies the force on the brake. Then what happens if that is the case? Suddenly this passenger moves forward direction. When the driver applies the brakes on the bus, this passenger, because he is already in motion, so he moves forward direction because of that jerk. And moreover, in this case, driver is applying the brake on the bus. not on the passenger. So actually here the passenger experiences a forward jerk when the bus is suddenly stops. The passenger who is inside the bus, he experiences a forward jerk, and he will move forward direction and he may fall down also. Right. So in next class we will discuss the Newton's second law of motion and Newton's third law of motion and few concepts related to this Newton's laws of motion and problems. So thank you.